Hello, everyone, and welcome back to It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day. I am Cyrus Webb, joined by my co host, Ellie Dalsimer, the author of the award winning book you guys can see right here by the same name. Welcome, you guys, joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and already Instagram is already up. So let's see you guys on Instagram, and Amazon is up early. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to go ahead and bring them in to our conversation, too. If you guys have not joined us before for the series, we're wrapping it up. So you guys have to catch up. We're going to let you guys know how to do that. And we are now live on the Amazon Live platform with It's Okay Not to Be Fabulous Every Day, based on the book you guys see in the carousel here on Amazon by Ellie Dalsimer. You guys can get it either in print or the Kindle edition or also the audiobook as well. Also, make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You see it either here in this corner or down below where you see Ellie's books. We have a great one for you guys today. But Ellie, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good myself. It's been a really good week, a really fun week.
It's
So
been
I'm excited about today, but also it's a little sad. Our series is coming to an end. We have
yeah.
officially one more week before our wrap up. How does it feel, Ellie, to kind of be at the end here?
Mixed. I have just enjoyed this series so much. I wish it could go on forever.
Oh,
Having said that, it's been a great experience,
mhm.
and as you know, this is the first time I've ever co-hosted a podcast. So
Yeah.
it was scary getting into it because it was
Mhm.
unknown, but I was also very excited, and now I drank the Kool-Aid. I love it.
There you go. I'm so glad to hear that, Allie. And I want to say, and I'll say more of this in 2 weeks when we officially wrap up. I want to thank you for trusting me with this. I know it's anything new. It's like, okay, I don't know, if there's something I really want to do, but I appreciate you saying yes. It means a lot to me as well.
Well, thank you for that.
And I've gotten really good responses, and our audience has enjoyed it as well. Amy's already sent me a message, one of our regular
Yay.
viewers on Amazon, so I know she'll probably be joining us as well. Today's message I want to say for our audience, I was saying to Allie, I know she says I say this every week, but it's another one of those messages that it's like it makes me smile, but also make me think, because I think what's been so great about the quotes, and Allie, maybe before we even have you read it, I want to ask you about this because
Okay.
we talked about in the previous interview here on Amazon about quotes and your love of quotes. But
Mhm.
but talk to us about the connection between these quotes and your own story and experiences. What has that been like for you to kind of tie in?
There are a couple ways to answer that question.
Okay.
So, on one level, these quotes are ones, and I've talked about this. These are quotes that I had as little stickies or tape scraps of paper that I looked at every day.
Hmm.
And people are always asking me, "How do you remember these quotes? How do you pull them out of your head so quickly?" And I'm like, "Well, because I looked at them for every day for so many years."
Yeah.
And and so connecting them to my life was easy in the sense that they're a lot of what I based my life on. The I even for a while, I don't know if it's still there, but I was had the Jackie O quote about, if you mess up your kids, nothing else you do really matters. And that helped me
Mm.
grounded in letting me know that anything else I was doing, it really didn't matter if I was messing up my kids, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. And all of these quotes have different meanings and apply to different aspects of life. And
Mhm.
so for me, connecting them um, was natural, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
It does. It does. Alice says yes. And Makita, hello to you joining us
Hey,
on YouTube.
Makita.
Appreciate you being with us as well. So we'll go ahead and jump into this one because there's a lot of layers I feel like for us to be able to go into our conversation with this one, Alice. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, I will take it. Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Thomas Edison. It's a universal truth that if we don't keep moving forward, we'll be swallowed by the past, stagnating in a never ending Groundhog Day loop that inevitably leaves us empty and unfulfilled. To experience inner joy and self worth, to value ourselves and find meaning in our existence, we must bravely face the unknown and advance into it. We must decide to act and keep acting day after day. Whether the action is small or large doesn't matter. Both are accomplishments. The hard part? Starting. Ironically, what we least want to do is usually what will help us most. For example, When we're sad, all we want is to be alone, enfolding ourselves in comfy clothes and eating sweet or salty snacks while binge watching our fave shows. Or maybe that's just me. I know that getting dressed and going for a walk, especially in the sunshine, releases endorphins and oxygenates the blood. Walking outdoors on a clear day always makes me feel better. My brain knows these facts, and yet, especially in winter, I can't manage it. For me, it's the getting out the door that's the hard part. For others, a solitary walk along a bright sunny trail may not be the answer. My daughter struggled with depression during the lockdown. Aside from a few emails and texts, she lost touch with schoolmates and closeted herself in her room watching 90s sitcom reruns. After weeks of solitude, she finally agreed to reach out to her closest friends. Connecting with her former classmates with whom she hadn't spoken in months turned her world around. She metamorphosed back into the socially active, effervescent daughter I'd been missing. For the extroverts among us, socializing is the exact medicine needed to disperse those dark clouds. Whether in person, on FaceTime, or on the phone, people are social creatures, and most of us are energized by fellowship. Engagement and community provide a robust foundation for a convivial, thriving life. Regardless of what makes you feel better, if you're stagnating, changing pace and just pushing yourself into action can be the kick in the pants you need to rediscover your joy and sense of self.
Yeah. I think this message is, again, such a powerful one, Allie. And I think there are three main things for myself, and I'm curious for the audience as well. What stands out to you? One of the big things that you say, and it's pretty early on, is that we must decide to act. I want to talk about that for a second, because I think it ties in so well with the Thomas Edison quote. Because that shows that there's effort involved in anything that we want to do, no matter how big or small, as you go on to allude to, Allie, that there's effort involved.
Yeah.
What has it been like for you to know the personal responsibility that comes with anything that we say we want?
Well, I mean, for me personally, I think I was like a lot of people in that I sort of blamed others. You know, people could make me happy or sad. People could make me do or not do something.
Okay.
And it's a process and a journey. And I think people who deal with childhood strife or trauma have that happen more because there's a sense of helplessness that develops when you're young. If you're in difficult or stressful situations. I think people who are raised in a very secure situation deal with that less. So it really obviously depends. But for me personally, I definitely had a lot of years of giving away that power, I'll call it, and saying that other people were responsible in some way for my actions, behavior, mood, whatever it was. And really learning and understanding that no, you know, I am responsible for my own everything, right? You know, in the end, the only person responsible for yourself is you. And you have to embrace that responsibility. You know, that was big for me personally, really getting to that.
And I love that because, again, tying it into the Thomas Edison quote, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. It really does show where the weight is. And I'll tell you from myself, Allie, what I thought about, even though I told you I had heard this quote from Jeff Bezos, because he has used it as part of his mantra in life. And in the documentary about Amazon, he literally quoted this from Thomas Edison. And then he said, you know, the idea is one thing, but the execution, that's where the real work in. And I want to talk about that because there's so many times that in life, right, we say what we want. But what has it been like for you to share with people through your own experience, Allie, of realizing that saying what we want is one thing, but what do our actions really say about what we really want and what we're willing to do to get it?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Cyrus, because, you know, there's something when I first started writing this book, I was doing a lot of research and stuff, and then it finally came to be published. And as you know, because we've talked about it, I was like, yeah, whatever, it's whatever. Um, uh, but I happen to have come across. Well, somebody said, our mutual friend, Robert Whitehill, actually said
Mm-hmm.
something to me. He's like, a lot of people want to write a book, but most people don't. And I
Yeah.
did some research on that, and it's some huge number, like, 80% of people want to write a
Mhm.
book. And, 40%, I'm making these numbers up because I don't remember the exact
Yeah,
statistics now,
yeah,
but like 40% actually, start some. And then it's something like fewer than 4% ever actually write the book. And of those, there's another smaller percent that actually publish it. So although there are millions of books available, there
hmm
are billions of people on the planet,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
everybody wants to write a book. That 1% of inspiration, I got a book,
yeah,
but they don't do the 99% of the perspiring work that it
yeah.
takes, the year-long process or whatever it is,
hmm
to spend X number of hours every day sitting in front of a computer and typing and whatever. They don't put in the perspiration. And I think that it's
Yeah,
widely applicable no matter what it is. It's
yeah,
great to have an idea. We all have great ideas.
yes.
But what do they mean if we don't put the effort behind it and
hmm
actually do it? And that's a very conscious act. You have to decide you want to do that. And then you have to decide you keep wanting to do it every single day.
Right.
So, that's where this quote really, I think, speaks to whatever people are wanting to accomplish. And I mean, the entire point of the book, right, is to maximize your personal potential, right, to
Yeah.
achieve your dream life and your
hmm
goals. No one is going to do it for you. No
Right.
one's going to do it for you. You want to do XYZ, then you have to do it.
hmm
How you do it, when you do it, whatever. These things are all, very individual, and we need to make sure that we're not putting so much pressure on ourselves that we burn out. And, we have to be very thoughtful and considerate in how we do that. But in
Right.
the end, we have to do it.
That's true. That's true. And this goes to a bigger message. Hello to you, Cindy. I'm sorry. Cindy Prairie Dodgers over on IG. Cindy says, if nothing else, it's therapy and writing. I totally agree with that too. And I think that goes to another point too, Allie. And this is what I had to learn.
Hmm.
And it was a hard lesson for me actually, that because I wanted something for someone wasn't enough. They had to want it, right?
Yeah.
And to Cindy's point, because I think I've shared with you the story about I got upset with a friend of mine who I ended up gifting a book to. I wrote a children's book and gifted it to them because I thought they didn't tell me this. I thought this would be great for them, their portfolio. They had children, and I thought, oh, this would be great. You can go into schools, and now that all sounds great, but that was not what they wanted. They didn't not like they
Right.
came to me and said, "Hey, I want to go into schools like you," and I just wanted them to have something of their own that they could be able to have, which is
Hmm.
fine. But I got upset with them because they didn't do anything with it. And finally, it dawned on me, like, wait a minute, you know what? And I went to them and said, as I'm known for doing, you know, did you want to do what I was saying? Did you want? And they're like, well, no, not really. I did, but you were so excited about it, and I got excited, but I didn't really, know how I was going to do that. And I thought to myself, Now I didn't feel bad for doing the book. I felt bad that the pressure I put on them,
Yeah.
for something they didn't ask me for, first of all, and then two, never asked to be a part of what I was doing in that. And I thought about that with this message because I think a lot of us we have these intentions, right? These great intentions, but if if it's not done with something that actually matters, it really, those intentions don't do anything for us. The other thing you mentioned in this, Allie, that I thought was really interesting too, after you mentioned about we must must decide to act, you say whether the action is small or large doesn't matter.
Right.
Both are accomplishments. I don't think most people look at the world that way. So I want to ask you, what has helped you to look at the world that way?
Well, first, I just want to say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? We all know this.
Right, right.
Um, and I also wanted to share a personal story as well,
Sure.
because I had a similar experience as you.
Okay.
Cyrus, and it was a little bit like with you. It was a wake up call.
Hmm.
I was managing a team of people, and one of the people on this team was a very, very bright, capable woman. I just admired her so much, and so I kept trying to give her professional development information and suggesting courses for her. And I would give her extra duties and, all this other stuff. And then we were talking one time and I was like, well, why don't you, take on blah, blah, blah at this event that we were organizing? And she looked at me and she was like, I appreciate what you're doing. I see what you are doing. And I was like, yeah, startled, right? She's like, but I don't want that. And I was like, my first reaction is, you don't want to advance and rule the world? What? Doesn't every woman want to do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but it was a wake up call for me because
Yeah.
here I was putting in all this extra effort trying to
Mhm.
encourage her to do all these things, and she didn't want it. It wasn't what she wanted. And so
Yeah.
it was very similar to you. And I think we all
Yeah.
get caught up in that. It's like people who give people gifts that they like,
Mhm.
instead of thinking about what the other person might want.
Right.
And now I've forgotten your question, so maybe you could repeat it.
No, no, it's fine. No, it's fine. Let me just give. I love this name. Forget the fairy tale. Hello to you over there on IG too. I love that name.
Yeah.
But no, my question was, how did you get to a place where you realized that whether the thing you did was big or small, it didn't matter. That they both were accomplishments.
Right. Right. Well, that came from that very first day that we've talked about. That was the impetus for my moving out of my depression and just trying to find my purpose in life. Because
Mhm.
I literally, I literally lay in bed and didn't know why I should get out of bed. I had no purpose, no reason to get out of bed that
Yeah.
particular day. And I ended up getting out of bed because I had to feed my cat, right? And as we've talked about, I changed the sheets, I made some soup, I played with the cat. That's all I did. And I had to lower the bar. And I had to say, you know what? It's okay that I didn't edit this document that I had to do, and I didn't take care of, the car stuff, and I didn't do whatever it was that was on my list.
Mhm.
And that was good. And I needed to reward myself. And we are the only ones, Cyrus, who can shift our own mindset. We are
Yeah.
the only ones who can do that. And if we grace ourselves the kindness and the understanding and allow ourselves to congratulate those small actions,
Mhm.
it 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 energizes us and enables us to do the bigger ones.
Yeah.
So for me, it was really that day. It was a very stark moment when I realized it didn't matter that changing the sheets might seem small for me that day. That was what I could handle, and that was big for that day.
Yeah.
So
Such a great thing. I want to say for those you guys are coming in, see you guys over there on YouTube as well. Welcome, you all are watching. It's okay not to be fabulous every day. We're winding down our series with award-winning author Allie Dalsimer. This series is based on her book. You guys can see there. I wanted to zoom in, Allie, so they can see the book better. I had it as a wider shot earlier. I'm like, they really can't see the book, but there you guys can see the book. It's available on all the platforms. Audiobook. You can get it in print, or of course the Kindle edition as well. But also let you guys know how to stay connected with Allie and sign up for her newsletter as well. Allie, the last point I wanted to bring up, and I would love to know your thoughts for our audience when it comes to this. You say,
mhm.
regardless of what makes you feel better, if you're stagnating, changing pace and pushing yourself into action can be the kick in the pants you need to rediscover your joy and sense of self. What would you say to our audience to encourage them to take that step, no matter where they may be, just to be able to take that step toward whatever it is that they want?
Sometimes we feel so much pressure to move forward, accomplish, move forward, accomplish, move forward, accomplish. And the reality is sometimes we got to take a step to the side, right? We
Mhm.
just got to like just take a step out. It's like in sports with cross training, right? Like
Mhm.
professional athletes, they go. You have a basketball player, they go 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 go. Well, if you don't cross train, if you don't take a rest day, you're going to end up in a career ending injury, right? So it's so important that you do switch things up. And also, your brain's a muscle, right? You need to switch
Yeah.
things up with your brain. And honestly, things get boring if you don't. They get boring. They start to feel like drudgery, right? So if you switch things up, change is good, man. Shift that beach ball.
Yeah.
Do something fun and just make yourself do it. That kick in the pants, right? That for me is like, that's right there, the kick in the pants to get you out the door. Because yes, it's okay to take a down day or two and just be like, okay, I'm having a little mini vacation. But if that's becoming your pattern and your behavior, it's Newton's law, right? An object in motion stays in motion. An object at rest stays at rest. You don't want, here's another one, rolling stone gathers no moss, right? I mean, you want to keep moving. You have to keep moving. You don't have to move forward. If you can't, move to the side, shift around, let things develop as they need to, as they need to do. But don't stop. Don't stop, because you'll get stuck.
And if I could just add, Allie, the other thing, to build on what we've already talked about, and don't try to judge your journey by anyone else's. I think
No.
that's the thing that I see so much, that people are saying, well, I'm not doing what X is doing, or I'm not doing what Y is doing, instead of
Yeah.
just realizing what's in their power to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's your journey. There's no right
Yes.
or wrong way. It's your journey. You do you,
Mhm.
and not only don't compare yourself to others, but don't judge others. You're
Yeah.
not doing what I need to be doing. You're not doing this and I am.
Right.
That doesn't mean anything either. You do you and let others do them. So
True. Ellen, hello to you. Ellen says hello, Allie. Again, everyone, Allie Dalsimer has been our co-host. Her book has been the subject of our series. And cannot believe next week is our final, quote unquote,
finally.
lesson from the
Yeah.
book. And then the following week, we'll be doing a recap, but also welcoming your thoughts. We have some fun promos, Allie, I put together, haven't even told you about yet, to get people to join us for that final week. Because I'm definitely interested in. Amy says that Jones is so true. Not trying to keep up with everyone else. I think that is. I've never had that issue, but just believing in myself. That has been my big thing. Believing in me and what my abilities are, and not comparing myself to other people. I think has been so important, and I'm sure it has been for others as well. Ellie, let them know, how can they stay connected, as well as how can they sign up for the newsletter.
Absolutely. Yes. You can find me on all the socials. And to sign up for my newsletter, go to my website, alliedalsimer.com/newsletter. And tomorrow's issue is all about how to deal with naysayers, the bringer downers, the people who really don't believe in you, and what to do when those people are actually maybe besties, close friends, family members, because that's hard. That's a
That
tricky
is
one.
hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
so true. Mike, hello to you. Good to be able to see you over there on IG. Mike is going to be joining us, he and his wife, on an upcoming episode of Cyrus Webb
Awesome.
Presents here. So I'm looking forward to that. They have children's books that they've written together. Allie, really enjoyed this week. Looking forward to our time together next week.
Me as well. It's going to be a good one. I hope you have a wonderful week and appreciate everybody tuning in. So I hope to see you next week.
Exactly. So you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.